The oil and gas sector has seen a lot of challenges, prospects, promises and targets in 2014. Completion of the Tuabo gas plant was key and was expected to improve Ghana's power shortfalls, and the takeover of the Ghana Gas Company by Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, was also a key feature of the year. So what were the other major oil and gas issues that you remember in the year? What could we do different in terms of policy and action as we move in to 2015? This is today's big story, and we'll be reviewing the year in the oil and gas sector. The most crucial challenge that faced Ghana's oil and gas industry in the year was the maritime boundary dispute with Cote d'Ivoire over an area considered to be rich in oil, estimated to have about 2 billion barrels of oil reserves and about 1.2 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. There were also questions over whether the cost of the Tuabo gas plant had been bloated or not, as claims by the minority in parliament were denied by management of the Ghana Gas Company. These are only a few of the issues that confronted the oil and gas sector in the year 2014. We're today going to do a 30-minute year in review of the sector, and let's quickly start with Kojo Poku, who is an energy expert, is joining us now. Good evening, sir, and thanks for your time.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, the year in review, in perspective, what are some of the striking issues in the sector which you recall for the year 2014?
I think one of the issues will be the expectation of Ghana Gas plant to come online. Which, the year we were told that it was going to happen earlier. It was moved to the middle of the year, and eventually it did come online. And I think that's one of the joyful events that I think will come to memory.
So let's start from that then. I mean, you raised this. I'm happy that you raised it. We'll start with that. In the oil and gas sector, the fact that we put a lot of hope on the completion of the Tuabo gas plant, what prospect did it hold at the time? We do know now that Tuabo has started supplying gas to the domestic market. That's what we were told. But beyond that, what were the other expectations that Ghanaians had of that project from the start?
I think if you play back some of my interviews with your station, you will know that I said on your platform that Ghana Gas coming on stream was not there to resolve our problem.
That's right.
Ghana Gas coming on stream was only to ease some of the problem, which is the foreign exchange which we use to import crude and diesel for the running of the TP1. And Ghana Gas was only a substitute, which is gas for the plant. So instead of using light crude, we were able to use gas. And the gas was, because the West African gas pipeline was not coming frequently, Ghana Gas was going to come on stream to assure us of energy security for TP1. But it was not the end game for the problem that we were going through. It's a good thing it's working, and but obviously the handlers of the project, they basically gave too much expectation. So everybody thought that the minute Ghana Gas came on, all the problems will be over. But obviously, as we know now, that's not the case.
Now, I mean, beside Tuabo, now we are rest assured that at least the project is completed. There were doubts were raised about the total cost, etc. But also key during the year was the erratic gas supply from the West African gas pipeline because of contractual obligations or thereof from Nigeria. Quickly, when we look back, do you think that we've been able to manage that problem especially well?
No, we have not. I think that the Ghana-Nigerian relationship has not been managed well in 2014, and I'm hoping that going forward 2016, Nigeria is going to go through election in the next couple of months, and I think that if whoever wins the election in Nigeria, the Ghana administration will forge a better relationship with Nigeria so that the gas coming in from the West African gas pipeline would be more than expected. You see, what happens is that there is a contractual angle, which is what WAPEC basically handles, which is what gas is supposed to come in. Now, NNPC, who are the handlers of the gas, it's like GMC, run by the government. Now, if our administration does not have a backroom channel, if our administration does not have a good relationship with the Nigerians.
Yeah, I'm listening. Right, I think that we lost Kojo Poku on the line. Kojo Poku is an energy expert, and we're going through the year in review on key issues which he could remember and what prospects they held for us at the time, and looking on whether we feel that as a country we've been able to maximize from that. Now, on today's big story, we're looking at key issues that happened in the oil and gas sector. I recall that one of the fundamental things that happened was the takeover of the Ghana Gas Company by GMPC, which raised a lot of controversial issues. There is also, as I've mentioned already, the lack of consistent gas supply through the West African gas pipeline because of contractual obligations with Nigeria. Kojo Poku is saying, as before we lost him on the line, that subsequently perhaps Ghana would need to consider reviewing that agreement with the Nigerian government when they have a new administration in place, seeing that Nigeria is going ahead with new elections to appoint new leaders. Also, there were issues of petroleum revenue management. Key among them was whether Ghana was doing due diligence with the applications of the law that ensured that the country reserved some amount of money through. We are told that Kojo Poku is back on the line. Kojo, we lost you before you went. You were talking about the need for Ghana to consider perhaps reviewing the contractual agreement that existed between Ghana and Nigeria when the new administration, if there is any coming in, takes over from the current Nigerian administration.
No, what I was trying to say is that not reviewing the contractual agreement, but reviewing the relationship.
But what's the point of reviewing the relationship if you are not going with key indicators from the contract? For example, you must be able to say that Nigeria did not honor its obligation to supply X amount of gas as promised in the contract. For which grounds you are going for renegotiation? Is that not the best approach?
No. What I'm trying to say is that you can have that. If there is West African Gas Pipeline Company can go and try and renegotiate the contract that exists. But what I'm trying to say is that there is nothing wrong with the contract. It is just the human factor of honoring that contract that is not happening.
That is not happening.
What it is that when we signed the agreement for West African Gas Pipeline, a lot of thermal plants have not sprung up in Nigeria. Okay? In Nigeria now, they also have their own energy problems, and they have thermal plants that they need the same gas that they would have otherwise given to us. They also need that. But there is a human factor to the whole approach. There's a human face. Now, what I'm saying is that human face should be managed much better. Because if you want to take it on contractually, yes, you can. But it's a human face that you will end up dealing with. Somebody sits there at NNPC and a person decides, oh, let's give Ghana X amount of gas. That same person, if there's a better human relationship between the administration, be it either personal or executive, would be managed much better by giving us what we need. So to me, it is not about going to try and reinforce contracts by going to fight them, but trying to have a better human face to the project.
Kojo Poku, we'll have you hold. We're getting a terrible feedback from your line. We'll try to re-establish contact and see whether we'll get a better line. But we have Kwame Jantua, who is also a lawyer and an energy expert, joining us on the line. Mr. Jantua, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening to fellow Ghanaians.
Right. We're reviewing the year on specifically oil and gas. When you look at the beginning of January to now, as the year closes, what are some of the key issues in the oil and gas sector which strikes you, for which you feel that perhaps we didn't do due diligence, or we could have done better, or we really dealt with it squarely?
Well, I think generally the gas infrastructure stands out. The fact that it's taken nearly 3 to 4 years for it to come on stream, and we've now been able to bring it on stream is a milestone. The E&I contract too is another milestone in terms of the offshore Cape 3 point. And the 10 projects too, is another milestone which I foresee that if we handle it well, in the coming years, at least, we would get ample gas to power our electricity. The bit that I'm not too happy about is the local content bit in terms of Ghanaian companies being able to participate. The kind of fees that we are paying to participate in the industry, I think for now is a bit high, considering that we started this oil and gas business it only took us 3 years from exploration to production.
Right.
So I thought with that they could have laxed it a bit, but it has been taken that the oil and gas industry is a high-level, expensive industry. So if you want to go into it, you need to have the wherewithal to be able to go into it.
Now, I mean, for me, what comes to my mind straight away now is speaking to you. I remember that in the year PIAC had this issue of lack of funds for which you had to move out of your rented accommodation to another place. These all bothered on the issues of management of the revenue of petroleum, because if the Public Interest and Accountability Committee like yourself is stifled of funds in your operation, it meant that in that area we all failed as a country. You wouldn't say so?
Well, you see, currently the only organization that is able to give information to Ghanaians with regards to oil revenues and how they spend is PIAC. It's PIAC. And really and truly, it is an organization which is independent within the law. And so, yes, the kind of things that PIAC has been able to come out with in terms of the reports they've come out with, superb, considering the constraints that PIAC has been under. So you can imagine if, PIAC had its own location and its own office, the kind of work they could do. But the thing is that PIAC is not an adversarial institution. It's there to help. It's there to give information both to government and to public. And so I hope in the coming year we'll be able to resolve the situation, because currently where we are now with at the Natural Resource Governance Institute, we have to move out of there again by the 5th of January because they need the accommodation for one of their consultants who is coming. So it is a challenging situation where PIAC is concerned. And, I hope government would look at us kindly and try and help us out, because we are there because of the people of Ghana. We are not there to put government on its toes. No, we are there to make sure that we do not go the way of our gold industry in terms of our revenues. Ghanaians need to be able to benefit out of this oil resource, especially when, and you see, the work of PIAC, when you consider just the Jubilee field, is minor. Imagine all the fields are working from Axim to Qatar. Look at the amount of oil and gas we'll be producing and the amount of revenue that will come in. And you see, one thing about the oil revenue is that it comes in a rush. It's not like cocoa, it's not like gold. The magnitude of the amount of money that comes in is huge. I mean, to date, we've made nearly $2.5 billion. One field alone, Jubilee, only Jubilee. So you can imagine what can happen. So if we don't put those institutions in place to check that the oil revenue is used to the benefit of Ghanaians, it's going to be challenging. The other thing I also feel that the government should really look at is toll. It's toll, and the way refined petroleum products has been a bane for Ghanaians.
That's right.
We should look at toll and try and make sure that toll is back on its feet, whereby a certain allocation from GMPC could be sent to toll. If, finance Tor for Tor to be able to buy it off GMPC so that we can process petroleum products for Ghanaians. So we don't have to go through the cycles we go through, because it's challenging, I must admit.
Right,
both for the BDC
Mr.
and
Janto,
both for Ghanaians.
Yeah. Mr. Janto, talking about Tor, I mean, government's decision to hand over the assets of Ghana Gas to Ghana National Petroleum Corporation was a major issue in the year. It brought on all the issues of lack of transparency. Professor Kwesi Botre came on board to complain about the manner the takeover was done. Do you feel that now that this transaction appears to be complete, Tor will benefit more with this arrangement?
Well, Tor has got nothing to do with Ghana Gas, nor has it got anything to do with GMPC at the present moment. If Tor is looking to buy crude, they would have to purchase, if they're looking to get crude from GMPC, they would have to purchase it. Does Tor have the wherewithal to purchase crude? Yes, we understand that they've gone into joint partnership with a foreign company. I think we need to look at some of the joint partnerships that we are doing, so that in the end it's Ghanaians that benefit. I am saddened by the fact that we are the ones who have put Tor where it is. Because with successive governments that have come into power, if they were to expand Tor gradually from after the coup, the Rawlings administration, the Mills administration, the Kufuor administration, if gradually we were to add on to Tor, we would have a fantastic refinery today. And we will not only refine Ghanaian crude, we would refine crude from the whole of West Africa. So I think it's a strategic installation that we have to look at, because we can earn foreign exchange from there.
Mr. Janto, I'll have you hold. I still have Kojo Poku, who is an energy expert, on the other line. Kojo Poku, I thought you were off. That's why I held on the conversation with Mr. Janto Amor. Now, you heard Mr. Janto raising key concern about Tor, Tema Oil Refinery. Do you feel that going into 2015, government, maybe the people of Ghana, whoever is responsible to ensure that Tor operates at its maximum, should consider looking into Tor again?
Right. My position on Tor has always been that Tor's position has never been political. It's purely administrative at Tor. You know, Tor, if you know a little about what goes on there, there are certain people in certain strategic positions in Tor, and they've been there for years. And they are like the dinosaurs at Tor. And no matter who you put there, no matter who government appoints at Tor, they frustrate those people. No matter what government policies are, those people will frustrate it. They need a complete overhaul of Tor personnel. That is the first step. In 2015, if government wants to do anything about Tor, there needs to be a complete overhaul. Now, then you now look at the finances. Ghana is the only country that wants to buy crude oil in 60 days. This is a product that is hot on the oil market. Everybody is doing cash and carry. Anytime Ghana goes into the oil market to buy products, we want 60 days. That is one of our major problems. And so you only come in contact with people who are dodgy. I mean, in the past... But
Mr. Poku, I am concerned about restructuring Tor so that it will live up to its obligation of refining crude for our use. I mean, if Tor was able to refine the fine Brents that we get from Ghana for our local consumption, I'm sure you agree that a lot of the pressures that remain on Ghanaians in fuel would have been reduced.
I honestly have not been able to delve into the technicality onto why they can refine Brent crude, the Nigerian type of crude, and they cannot be able to refine the Ghana type of crude. Honestly, I have not been able to delve into the technicality. But I'm thinking, and I've said, okay, who can educate us?
Yeah, Mr. Poku, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. You can educate us.
No, I mean, I want to hear from you, the expert. Let me switch over to Mr. Janto.
What I'm saying is that if they could do that, it would help. But it's never been done.
Yeah.
And what they've always told us is that, the Tor cannot refine the crude, exploring Ghana. But like I said in the past, when we first found crude, and it was the exploration and the exploration and the production work was put in place. Because after exploration and there was a find, there was a production agreement, and then the work program was put in place. Government then, and it goes back to the Kufuor administration, the NPP administration, that time processes should have been put in place so that Tor would have been ready, that in full production, we would have been able to refine the crude at Tor. But nobody did that.
Right, Mr. Jantwa, let me switch to Mr. Jantwa. Mr. Jantwa is still on the line. Mr. Jantwa, so the issue of Tor, really, what exactly needs to be done at Tor? Kojopoku feels that the problem of Tor is purely administrative, that there are some people who have been there, long service dinosaurs, who don't want to give room for people with creative ideas to inject into the system. From where you stand, what is the technical problem that Tor faces for which you feel that it needs restructuring? Mr. Jantwa? Yeah, I'm hearing
I said it's all part and parcel of what Mr. Poku said. Tor has been used as a political football for years now. And because of that, the management system there is broken down. You see, the question of refining our own crude is based on money. We have sweet crude, which every refinery in the world would want sweet crude. Now, what government then does that they compare how much money they can get selling the sweet crude as compared to refining it in our own refinery. And when they look at the balance, if they're going to get more money, they would rather import Brent in because our refinery can, refine Brent. But you see, it is not true that our refinery can't refine our crude.
I see.
It has been retrofitted, and it can take our crude. The question is, they would have to buy the crude from GMPC. Do they have the wherewithal to do that? And I do agree with Mr. Poku. Tor is a management position. It's a management problem. It's administrative, apart from the political side of it. It's just like ECG. ECG is a management problem. It's not that they cannot do it. It's a management problem. It's the fact that, yes, there are dinosaurs in there who do not want to move, who feel that their space is being taken. So you need a government that is bold to say, whatever you do, this is what we're doing. And you bring the people along when you take such decisions so that the people can now support. Because Tor at the present moment is a white elephant. The most it's doing is LPG. How much are they refining? You see? And it is a strategic installation for Ghana, especially going into the 2015, 2016, into the future. We need refined petroleum products. And you see, what then happens is that Tor can act as one of the refineries abroad and sell to the BDCs here for the BDCs to do the distribution. We need to plan. You see, this is why I keep saying that we need an energy development plan, a plan for energy. Korea has done it for 20 years. So that any government that comes in, there's a change, there's continuity, and we build on it. Look, Trinidad and Tobago, they are one of the major countries in the world that produce gas. They can turn their gas into LNG and make more money. They can export their gas into America and make more money. But they make sure that they take care of their needs first. Why can't we do that here? Why?
Right.
Because there's Ghanaians who are suffering.
That's right. Now, let me switch the conversation to petroleum slightly. I mean, we know that for the past few months, the price of crude on the international market has been coming down. I mean, towards the end of the year, there were many who were expecting that this drop in the international crude prices will reflect at the ex-pump here in Ghana. It hasn't. Do you feel that the reasons that have been given by the National Petroleum Authority and others who support the fact that we should keep paying the current rate are justified?
Are you talking to me?
Yes. Mr. Jantwa?
Yes. Now, crude at the present moment, Brent at the present moment is $55. It's $55. You see, I believe that before a government institution takes the decision they take, they should come out clean and tell Ghanaians, this is how we accrued the debt. This is how we accrued the debt. This is what we're going to do. We had a situation where a certain amount of money was put in the budget for it. This is how much has been paid from that calculation we did. So we are left with X. this is how long it to pay X. So by this time, we can now say that at least we finished paying. But nobody is saying anything. It looks as if Ghanaians are being taken for granted. Yes, we have the debt. Everybody knows that the BDCs are owed money. And if you don't pay the BDCs won't be able to go to the banks for LCs to bring refined petroleum products in. So it becomes a vicious cycle. But I think communication is the key.
Communication is
because
key.
We really and truly cannot sit and say that because petrol prices have reduced, the debt too, we don't know what to do about it. Yes, let's pay the debt, but let's come clean with Ghanaians.
I think
Ghanaians are more they're understanding. They would understand it, but give us time scale. That within the duration of time, we would have finished paying it. Don't use it as a cash cow. Once you finish paying, you now use it as a cash cow to earn money for the MPA. I think that is wrong.
That is
wrong. That is the way
let me go to Kojo and get a quick reaction from you. Kojo, we switched the discussion to petroleum directly, briefly. I'm sure you heard Mr. Janto's. Quickly, what do you have to say about that?
I think that we deserve better. When the price goes up, no matter how the slight increase is, you see how quick the BDCs are on EA's neck to get Ghanaians to pay more. Now, the decrease is not $20. The decrease is well over $40. As of even last week or some two weeks ago, we were at 57. Now, obviously, in terms of refining, if we had toll working, and that goes back to our argument, when did Ghana become a net importer where BDC can hold us to a hot seat? It's only 3-4 years. We've never been. I mean, the toll has always worked. Now, if you're importing crude and the crude is coming in cheaper, we would have had all these debt of BDCs now holding the country to hostage. So some of the things that long-term, like Mr. Jantua is saying, a plan for us to now know that, look, if we go the way Nigeria gone, and they are now, they are trying to win themselves away from that BDC or import-oriented where one person or individual can hold the country to ransom. We should be able to get away from that. And if we don't, then we can look at Nigeria and know what's going to happen to us in the future, because we know what the problem they're going through in terms of petroleum importation and how one person can hike the price anytime they want to hike it.
Right, Mr. Kojo, I'll cut you there. I don't have a lot of time, but we are now discussing the oil and gas industry and moving ahead in 2015, what should be the best approach. Now, let me sum this up and ask you, gas, oil and gas, petroleum, and the energy shortfalls we have. What should be the strategy moving on, briefly? What can you tell us, the renewed government effort that should go in 2015 to ensure that at least we get these challenges removed or resolved?
I think to start with, the truth would help in 2015. I think Ghana, the government should come clean with Ghanaians and let us know what the true situation of the doomso is. That's to start with. Secondly, they should come clean to us and tell us what the debt at MPA is. When we know, then we will now know what we are in for. And I think the best gift Ghanaians would like to have in 2015 is the truth. How long are we going to be in a doomsday for?
Right, Mr. Poku, we are grateful. Let me quickly wrap up with you, Mr. Jantua. If you're still on, I need to give you 30 seconds. We're going into 2015. All the challenges we've mentioned, oil and gas, Ichiabu coming on board. We still have challenges with the inconsistent supply of gas through the West Africa gas pipeline. What should be the best strategy government should adopt as we go into 2015 to ensure the problems are eliminated?
Transparency, number one. And number two, we should not look at just 5,000 megawatts as government is planning. We should look at probably 10 to 15,000 megawatts. Why? So that we can export some of that. And the money that we use to export, we can now bring it back to invest in our energy situation. I think it is important that we don't play politics with energy. It's got nothing to do with politics. We don't need to politicize it because it affects everybody. Right now, if the light goes off as I'm talking to you, talk kaput.
Kaput, yeah, exactly.
Kaput. And you go home after a long day's work, and you'll be sitting there trying to relax. Ping, it goes off. It's frustrating.
Very frustrating.
I think we should be able to be transparent with Ghanaians and stick to what you say.
Stick to what you say. Mr. Jantua.
It's always good to open up where the is concerned for Ghanaian companies to also participate.
All right, Mr. Johnson, we're grateful for your time, and Kujopoku, thanks also for joining us on today's Big Story. We'll be right back with the interactive segment. Do stay.